I remembered the exact moment my world shattered. It wasn't a loud explosion, but a quiet, soul-crushing text message that wasn't meant for me. I was sitting on our couch, the one we'd spent a whole weekend picking out, waiting for my girlfriend, Sarah. To get home from her late night at the office, my phone buzzed, and I glanced down, thinking it was her. But it was her iPad synced to her phone. A message from a guy named Mark popped up. "Last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you. Same time next week?" My heart stopped. Felt like the air was sucked out of the room, leaving a vacuum where my future used to be. I didn't confront her, didn't scream or cry or demand answers. My first instinct, surprisingly, was silence. A cold, calculating silence. As she walked through the door minutes later, smiling and complaining about her boss, I just smiled back. I kissed her cheek, asked if she was hungry, and went about our evening as if nothing had happened. Inside, a storm was raging. Every "I love you," every touch felt like a lie, a betrayal that cut deeper than any knife. But on the outside, I was a calm, placid lake. This, I decided, was not going to end with a dramatic fight. It was going to end on my terms. My plan began to form that very night. Revenge. But not the petty kind you see in movies. I wasn't going to slash her tires or post her secrets online. My revenge would be a masterpiece of quiet devastation. Slow burn that she would unsee coming until she was already engulfed in the flames of her own making. The first step was to gather evidence. For the next few weeks, I became a detective in my own home. I meticulously documented everything. More texts from Mark, emails confirming hotel bookings, receipts for expensive dinners I wasn't invited to. Each piece of proof was a brick in the wall I was building around my heart, and a stone in the foundation of my plan. All the while, I played the part of the perfect, loving boyfriend. I made her favorite dinners. Listened to her complain about work. I even helped her plan a weekend trip with her girlfriends, knowing full well she was meeting Mark. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, acting normal while my world was collapsing. Every smile was forced. Every hug felt like I was embracing a stranger. She seemed so blissfully unaware, so confident in her deception. She'd tell me how much she missed me when she was away, and I'd just reply, "I miss you too," my voice steady, my hands clenched into fists in my pockets. Her arrogance was my fuel. She thought she had me wrapped around her finger, but she had no idea she was the one caught in a web. The next phase of my plan was financial. Sarah and I had been saving up to buy a house together. We had a joint savings account where we both deposited a significant portion of our paychecks. It was our dream fund. Over the next 2 months, I started systematically and quietly moving my contributions, plus half of the existing balance, into a new, separate account under my name only. I was careful, making small transfers that wouldn't raise any red flags with the bank or, more importantly, with her. I calculated it down to the last penny. I also started packing. It's not in a frantic, obvious way, but slowly, meticulously. I boxed up my books, my clothes, my personal belongings, labeling them discreetly and storing them in the back of my closet and under the bed. To anyone glancing in, it just looked like a bit of spring cleaning. The apartment was slowly being stripped of my presence, and she never noticed a thing. The final piece of the puzzle was our apartment lease. It was in both our names, and it was up for renewal in 3 months. This was the deadline. This was the day my silence would finally break. I contacted our landlord and explained the situation in vague but professional terms, stating that I would not be renewing the lease and that all future communications regarding the property should be directed solely to Sarah. I signed my part of the termination agreement and sent it back, getting confirmation that I was officially off the hook. The landlord, a kind older woman, was surprisingly understanding. She just wished me the best. With the finances separated, my belongings packed, and my name off the lease, all the pieces were in place. The day I chose was a Tuesday. It was our anniversary. I woke up early, made coffee, and handed her a card. It was a generic store-bought card. Inside, I didn't write a long, sentimental message. I simply wrote, "I know." That was it. I watched her face as she read it. The confusion, the slow dawning of horror, the panic. It was everything I had imagined. She looked up at me, her eyes wide. "Nod." "No what?" she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. I just placed a single manila envelope on the table in front of her. Inside the envelope were copies of everything: the text messages, the hotel receipts, the dinner bills. I had also included a printout of her new solo bank account statement for our dream fund, showing a balance of exactly half of what it was 2 months ago. And on top of it all was a copy of the lease termination agreement, showing that in 30 days the full rent for this expensive apartment would be her sole responsibility. I watched as the color drained from her face. The smug, confident woman I had lived with for the past few months disappeared, replaced by someone who finally understood the consequences of her actions. She started to cry, to apologize, to beg. She said it was a mistake, that she loved me. But the words were hollow. I had been listening to her lies for months. I had lived with the betrayal every single day. Her tears meant nothing to me now. I stood up from the table, my own heart surprisingly calm. The rage and pain had been processed long ago, channeled into this meticulous plan. The movers will be here in an hour to get my things, I said, my voice even. I've already paid my half of the rent for this final month. The rest is on you. Goodbye, Sarah. I didn't look back. I walked out of that apartment, out of that life, without another word. The silence I had maintained for months was finally broken. Not by shouting, but by the quiet, satisfying click of the door shutting behind me. Driving away, I didn't feel triumph in the way you might expect. I just felt free. The weight that had been crushing my chest for months was gone. I hadn't lowered myself to her level. I hadn't caused a public scene. I had simply removed myself from the equation and left her to deal with the mess she created. It was a clean break, a surgical removal of a toxic presence in my life. The revenge wasn't in hurting her, it was in protecting myself and my future. It was in the silent dignity with which I walked away, and that I realized was the most powerful revenge of all. Starting over isn't easy, but it's a lot better than living a lie. My new life began that day, and I've never looked back. Thanks for listening to my story. If you're going through something similar, know that your strength is in how you carry yourself forward. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.